That check looked fake as hell. No kidding. And the way Brittany tore it up right in my face, man. That was the moment I realized. Sometimes you can live your whole life trying to do the right thing, serve your country, pay your taxes, and still walk into a bank and be treated like you're nothing but a number or a problem be solved, not a person. You know what I mean? 1 second, I'm standing there with my disability check in hand, my fingers still aching from old war wounds, and the next bump, this blonde teller just rips it in half, lets the pieces flutter down onto the marble counter like dead birds, and for a second, the whole world feels like it's staring at me, waiting for me to explode, to become the problem they already think I am. It was one of those afternoons where the sun was so hot outside you could see the heat through the windows, but inside Premier National, the air was thick and cold, not from the AC, but from the way people looked at me like I was some kind of threat just for trying to cash a check. The security guy shifted his stance, customers started pulling out their phones, and even the old Asian lady in line behind me started up a Facebook Live like she knew this was about to go sideways. Brittany didn't even blink, just crossed her arms and flashed her little Employee of the Month badge like it was a sheriff's star. And when I asked for the manager, I swear, her smirk almost cracked her face. Out came Devin from the back, sleeves rolled up, tie hanging loose, and that look of a guy who thinks he's got everything under control glances at the torn check and barely even sees me. Just says, "Sir, we have protocols for suspicious documents," with that practiced blend of fake concern and condescension that you only get after years of telling people no for a living. I kept my voice level, kept my hands flat on the counter because, let's be honest, I learned a long time ago that people only see what they want to see, and sometimes what they see is a threat, not a person. I asked for the corporate number and some tape, just trying to keep it civil, but Devin actually laughed, said corporate wouldn't waste their time, and the words just hung there, heavy as a cinder block. Behind me, the crowd was growing misses. Chin's live stream was already at a few hundred viewers and climbing, comments flying across the screen faster than I could keep up, stuff like "this is disgusting," "get his badge number," "record," everything. Brittany kept tapping her nails on the counter, rhythm like a metronome marking time to my humiliation, her supervisor badge gleaming in the fluorescent light. And then Devin blocked my path, feet wide like he was bracing for a fight, and started telling me how the real world works like I hadn't spent enough time in the real world to know. That's when I pulled out my ID, set it on the counter. Military, 3 tours, Purple Heart, Bronze Star, the kind of credentials that should mean something. Brittany barely glanced at it. "You got some ID that proves it?" she said, like it didn't matter. "IDs can be fake too," Devin added, not even trying to hide the skepticism. The businessman in the suit checked his Rolex. The young mom bounced her baby and watched, the line getting longer, the crowd getting louder, misses. Chin's viewer count spinning up toward 1,000. I could feel the air getting tighter, heavier, as every word, every gesture, every micro-expression got captured from 6 different angles. It's a weird thing, standing in the middle of a moment you know is about to define your day, maybe your year, maybe your whole damn career. 43 minutes left. I muttered under my breath. Time was ticking, not just for me, but for everyone who just signed up for the show without realizing what was coming. That's when Angela, the branch manager, stormed out of her office, heels clicking, power suit sharp enough to cut glass. "What's the situation?" she barked, and Devin started in about a potential fraud. This individual trying to cash what looks like a fake government check. Individual. Not customer. Not veteran. Just individual. The tension kept rising, phones up, cameras out, the comments starting to tip from outrage to outright calls for action. Angela examined the torn check with the kind of fake suspicion that's supposed to look like professionalism, but just looks like bias up close. She told me to leave, threatened to call the police, and the crowd pressed in closer, the energy crackling with something ugly and electric. That's when an older black man in line finally spoke up. "This doesn't seem right. The man's just trying to cash his check." Angela shut him down quick, but by then it was too late. The story was out of her hands. Security came in. Terrell, a guy who's probably seen more real criminals in a week than Brittany ever will in her whole life, but who still had to do his job, even if he knew it was wrong. Suddenly I'm surrounded, for employees closing in like I was some wild animal. their faces tight with something between fear and anticipation, and the cameras catching every angle, every second. 38 minutes left, I whispered, checking my watch a detail the commenters latched on it instantly, questions swirling about what I was waiting for. That's when I decided, enough's enough. Torres, the manager, pulled out her phone and dialed 911, her voice sharp as broken glass, announcing to everyone that the police would be here in 10 minutes. But I just reached into my portfolio, pulled out a piece of heavy paper, and set it on the counter. I could feel every eye in the place on me. The branch fell silent, no phones, no keyboards, no AC hum, just the distant thrum of Atlanta traffic and the low buzz of anticipation. "Why don't you find out?" I said, letting Torres flip the page. When she turned it over, the color drained from her face. Official board letterhead, gold embossed, watermarked, the real deal. Devin read it over her shoulder and staggered back, knocking into a promo display, brochures raining down like confetti. Brittany grabbed the page, her hands shaking. There in crisp black text, Darius Washington, Chief Risk Officer, board member. The whole place seemed to breathe out at once, the live streams lighting up with common shock, awe, disbelief. Terrell went to attention out of old habit, recognizing a fellow vet, and suddenly everyone in the branch seemed to realize they'd been playing checkers while I'd been playing chess. I pulled out my business card, thick, embossed, the kind you only get when you made it to the top, and laid on the counter. "Feel free to call and verify," I said, and the casualness of it was more devastating than if I'd screamed. Devin stammered, "We had no idea, sir," and I cut him off. "You had no idea I was what? Black? Or someone who mattered?" The question landed like a body blow, silent, heavy, final. Cameras caught every flinch, every uncomfortable shift. The hashtag Premier Bank Twist was trending, the digital crowd exploding. I called Patricia Wong, the regional director. On speaker, her voice echoed through the branch, sharp, commanding, warm. "Darius, how's the field research going?" And suddenly it all clicked for the staff. This was field research on discrimination. They hadn't just picked the wrong person, they'd picked the person whose job was to fix the very thing they'd just put on display for the whole world. Patricia asked if I needed her on site. "That would be helpful," I said, and Patricia, "Bring the helicopter. You should have seen their faces." The next 12 minutes were a blur. News vans outside, social media in meltdown, Mrs. Chen's Facebook Live topping 30,000 viewers. When Patricia arrived, flanked by legal counsel and comms, the place turned from a disaster scene into a masterclass on corporate accountability. I laid out the data: 47 branches, systemic discrimination, millions in pending lawsuits. I read from the employee manual I'd helped write. Immediate termination for discrimination, no severance, no benefits. Devin and Brittany's records were pulled up, their histories on display for the world to see. Wong ordered their termination on the spot, Torres demoted. The new dignity protocol announced on livestream. Cameras everywhere. Justice, live and in color. But it wasn't about firing people for me. It was about changing the system. Mandatory training, AI audits, an anonymous app for reporting bias, real change, not just a public flogging. I taped my check back together, made my deposit, and accepted Wong's apology on behalf of the board. Apologies don't change systems. Action does. That line went viral. And so did the new Washington standard: equal treatment for every customer, every time, no matter who you are or what you look like. 6 months later, the story hadn't faded. Mrs. Chen's video hit over 2 million views. The dignity protocol was adopted across 12 major banks. My story ended up as a Harvard case study-required reading for future MBAs, a lesson in how intelligence and preparation beat ignorance and assumption every time. Brittany's story became a warning. Torres turned into an advocate, and the teenager's TikTok earned her a journalism scholarship. People still come into that branch just to stand where it happened, where quiet power won out over loud prejudice. So let me ask you, you ever been treated like less because of how you look, where you come from, the color of your skin, or the way you talk? Have you stood up, spoken out, or just refused to back down? Share your story in the comments. Your voice matters. Your experience can spark change. Record injustice when you see it. Shine a light. Because you never know, one day, the person you're underestimating might be the one with the power to change everything. Hell, that person might just be you.